Right, 18 February 2025, and today I'm going to be giving you another update as we go through one of the most important periods in Zimbabwe. So this needs a proper analysis, and I'll be taking you through what's happening on a day-to-day basis so that you understand the bigger picture. Remember, we always have to look at the bigger picture. Do not worry about the small things that are happening inside. Worry about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that we are entering a period of transition where the Zimbabwe military is going to play a very key role between now and 2035. And between 2035 and 2040, that is when you're going to see a democratic election. So whatever happens now, you must remember that we're heading towards something that is some sort of a military controlled government in Zimbabwe. And this is going to start with the removal of Mnangagwa within the next short space of time. And when I'm talking of a short space of time, I'm talking here of between Friday this week and the end of March leading up to Independence Day. So Independence Day is the inauguration of General Chiwenga by the military. So the military is going to inaugurate General Chiwenga on 18 April. If the military guys don't make a move now, they are all going to get killed. And you can be sure that they are not going to allow themselves to be killed. So this is a matter of life and death. What we're talking about here is a matter of life and death, and it's not reversible. So the things that are happening now cannot be reversed, and they are going to happen whether one way or the other. And the way the military works is they start with an objective. So what do they need to achieve? And then they go into the tactics. How do they best achieve it with the minimum loss of life? So this is how the military always thinks. What do we want to achieve? And how do we do it with the minimum loss of life and with the maximum damage to the other side? So they want the other side to quit, to capitulate, and to give up and surrender. So that is how the military work. They put you under so much pressure that eventually you just quit and give up. And Mnangagwa is starting to show signs of pressure. He's starting to break, and he's starting to be isolated. If you look at Mnangagwa right now, he's alone in everything that he's doing. And people that surround Mnangagwa are no longer sure if he's able to protect them. Previously, Mnangagwa had an air of invincibility, where if you look at him, you would say, this man cannot be defeated. This man is capable. However, as we speak, Mnangagwa is starting to crack, starting to compromise, starting to explain himself. And very soon, he's going to step down. And you're going to see this on Friday. Friday is going to be the most important day at the National Youth event at Papa Fruit Stadium in Bulawayo. However, let me go to the facts. And what has been happening is that the Zimbabwe military has been communicating, and they've been using social media. So they started way back about a year ago, communicating through social media, through Twitter mostly. And then they started doing voice notes. So when Mnangagwa started the ED 2030, the Zimbabwe military set up certain social media accounts. And the Zimbabwe military is very good in social media. They started using social media through ZANU-PF channels. So if you look at the account that is currently communicating is Comrade Nyoka Mabunu. They are using that account to communicate widely throughout Zimbabwe. And previously, there was another account. I think it was Comrade Kid Marong. Those are the accounts that they're using. They are also using massive number of ghost accounts in many platforms. So there is currently no formal communication from the military. But what these accounts are communicating is what eventually happens. So the military is currently not communicating publicly, but they are slowly coming out and you are going to see one day a press conference featuring army generals or a representative of the military. So that is the next thing that is coming. The Zimbabwe military currently in the shadows and using an account. So I want to give you an example of the type of message that they're using. So that is Comrade Nyokai Mabunu that they're using here. Right. So this message was Geza explaining what happened to Geza.
Then anoenda ku state house onoita pressure pretending like he don't know what is happening in the ground. That's a total rubbish. Mnangagwa must go in less than 60 days. We are counting days now. In less than 60 days, Mnangagwa must go. We are prepared for everything. I'm telling you this. And this is a card zanopfekedzwa mapitcoat na Mnangagwa achita zvisane basa rese. Kana ari serious nenyaya yekuda kuvaka nyika, nenyaya yekuda kuvaka musangano wake weZANU-PF ngaenda anotaurira machairman akagarise dare taura kuti vana vese makadzinga ngavadzoke musangano. Kwete kuti anopretenda kuti handisi kuenda ku2030 but vana vemusangano vachidzingwa nenyaya yekuti havasi kuda 2030. That's total rubbish. Tiri kumudzinga soon Mnangagwa anoenda kumba unotanga pane vazukuru. Kana achifunga kuti mwana wake anonzi Shoni uya ane ma1 hysteric, haana ma1 mufana wenyu. Pana mudiki hysteric. Simba revanhu richariona, nyika ndeyevanhu. Simba revanhu, vanhu vari kuuya in millions. Maharare mimi. We are ready even kuenda kumba kwaMnangagwa. Tomutora inge kugore re2030.
Right. So I can give you these voice notes. There are a lot of them communicating. So the point I'm making here is that currently the Zimbabwe military is not yet communicating formally. They are using these ghost accounts. You don't know who is Comrade Nyokai Mabunu. You don't know who is Comrade Kid Marongro. I know some of the guys myself, but those are not their names. But they are communicating a broader mobilization strategy at the grassroots. So it's aimed at the grassroots to mobilize people around the country. And they want people to buy the ideology. The ideology is that Mnangagwa must go and Mnangagwa must go now, or they are preparing the ground. What is currently lacking, and I wish my guest had arrived here. I've got a guest that I invited. What is currently lacking, according to my guest, who is very close to Zimbabwe intelligence and Zimbabwe military, is that there is a lack of intelligence among the generals. So that's what he said to me, that Mnangagwa has got more intelligence or understanding of what is going on in the ground or on the ground than the generals. And this is making it difficult for the generals to move. They do not know who is on their side, and they do not have the necessary intelligence infrastructure to understand what is going on. So they eventually have to use force. And how do you use force? You use force by blocking out certain areas. Or they need to block out, for example, Harare, and demarcate it as an area where only friendly forces are allowed. And at the moment, the fight is between SAS and the military intelligence. So there are guys from SAS. There is a division of intelligence that is called SAS, which is always being blamed for working with Mnangagwa or for looking for these people like Geza and so forth. So at the moment, what you have is almost a period where the Zimbabwe military is sitting back and watching and doing nothing, leading up to a period when they are going to actually step up and underwrite the process. And how they're going to underwrite the process is obviously to make sure that things start moving. Mnangagwa actually leaves the office and a new government comes into place. And that is the difficult part. Are they able to implement it? Are they able to implement the political process? So a political process needs to come into place. And at the moment, that has not happened. Mnangagwa, I do not believe that he has been presented with a letter to sign, a resignation letter to sign. But I believe that he's aware that there is too much opposition to his office, and the pressure has increased so much on Mnangagwa that he is by himself thinking, what do I do now? However, I do not believe that the military themselves have given Mnangagwa the letter to sign. And I believe that that moment is coming, and it's going to come by Friday. By the time you see the National Youth event in Bulawayo, that would have happened. And then we're going to see that press conference by the military. When you see a press conference by the military, then we're talking of the actual change starting to happen and things starting to roll. In terms of the 60-day ultimatum, which is up to 31 March. So that is the day of the protest. The protest has been set for 31 March or a day before 31 March. So I don't know how that is going to be announced, who is going to announce it. But at the moment, that date has been put out by these social media accounts. They've put the date of 31 March. So let's see if there's actually a 31 March on the calendar, because I want to check these things before I say it. Right, so there is the 31 March on the calendar, and that is the date that has been set to say on 31 March there is going to be a national protest, and the protest is going to be such that no person is allowed not to go. So I will try to get you the video when they were talking about that, to say when they call the protest on 31 March, if you stay at home, then you're part of the Mnangagwa cabal and something will happen to you. So it will be almost a compulsory protest on the 31st of March. And remember, that 1st of March leads right up to 18 April. And 18 April is Independence Day, where I said I expect to see the inauguration of General Chiwenga on that day, on the 18th of April, as the new president of Zimbabwe, after Mnangagwa has stepped down. However, there are some very serious risks in between. And one of the biggest risks is that Mnangagwa can launch a fight back, or the guys can be defeated, or they can be divided, and eventually Mnangagwa will come back stronger. And that is the most dangerous thing that can happen, the death of the generals. If the generals fail to pull this off, everyone is going to get killed. All these guys, they're going to get killed. It's not possible right now for these guys who are watching here to be in Zimbabwe and Mnangagwa to be president. And it's also not possible for Mnangagwa to be president and the military to still be president in Zimbabwe. So this is a survival moment for both sides, Mnangagwa side and the military side, because the military generals have declared that they want Mnangagwa to go. If the military were not with this team that says Mnangagwa should go, they would have acted by now, but they've not acted. And Geza is still out there, Knox is still out there, and all the guys who are speaking against Mnangagwa are out there. The opposition to Mnangagwa is growing, and this is going on. The more it goes on, the longer it lasts, the more bloody this is going to be. So every day that passes, it's going to be bloodier and bloodier. What happens is going to become even worse than what was supposed to happen, because each side is getting ready. And when they clash, it is going to be a very big clash. And the 31 March is too far. In my view, 31 March is too far. This needs to be done very quickly. And it needs to be done in a way that is less bloody. However, I believe that the military is doing this slowly, so that doesn't look like a coup, so that there's a plan to say people planned the protest, and the protest took 1 month to plan. Then Mnangagwa stepped down on 31 March. So 31 March, a day to watch. But if I was Mnangagwa, I would just step down quicker and sooner, because whatever happens afterwards, if it happens by force, it is going to be very difficult for him and his family, and they are going to eventually lead. I foresee even a situation where Mnangagwa will be dragged on the street if this goes on until the 31st of March. That date is dangerous, it's too far, and they need to carefully consider. The Mnangagwa family needs to carefully consider. People like Wicknell, they need to carefully consider what is going to happen, because if all the people in Zimbabwe get on the street, it's going to be blood. There will be blood on the street. It won't be a peaceful removal of Mnangagwa, and the Mnangagwa family will never be able to stay in Zimbabwe again. So I think I've covered everything here. What I've said in short is that a date has been set of the 31st of March as the day of the protest. The military is communicating with ghost accounts, mostly on WhatsApp. They are targeting the grassroots. They are preparing the ground, and eventually you are going to see a press conference by the military yesterday saw a press conference by Mnangagwa. The military is going to come out and officially start giving press conferences. You're going to see that within a short space of time. Then that roadmap will now be more understandable when the military starts speaking, because the military in Zimbabwe cannot just sit and watch as this uncertainty continues. So it won't be possible for this situation to continue, because as everything goes on and on and on and on and drags, you are leading up to a violent end to everything. And a violent end not only to Mnangagwa's side, also on the general side. If they keep on living this situation like this, Mnangagwa will eventually find a plan and go after them. So it's not, this situation is not good for anyone where everything's hanging. We need to get this over as soon as possible and do not delay. The more you delay, the more problems are likely to arise. And then obviously, there is no consensus currently. Civic society, churches, opposing parties are not included, and there is no end game. What happens after this? Do we just change the president? How do we fix our economy? And also, what will the military do? Will they hand over after Mnangagwa goes? Because remember, this is the military, and I've got no doubt in my mind. So you'll never see me saying that is the opposition or it's Chiwenga. This is purely the military that are fed up with Mnangagwa. So what will they do when they get this power? Are they going to hand it over? Are they going to have a proper blueprint for the economy? Very, very important questions arise here. Right, I think I've covered this. I'm not going to talk for long today because last night we did a long interview with General Ruende. So you can go and watch that. You can also go and watch Tendai Biti. Tendai Biti had one of the most powerful interviews this week. I wish more people would watch Tendai Biti. Tendai Biti is amazing. Go and check out In Conversation with Trevor. Tendai Biti had almost 1 hour or so. I was watching this when I was on a flight. And this is the classic Tendai Biti that I know. You can go check him out, describing the current situation in Zimbabwe over there. And then obviously, we've got a lot of other things happening. Let me see what else is happening in business before I go. So in business, we've had the appointment in Liquid Telecoms. So let me see the appointment in Liquid Telecoms here. I just want to see who has been appointed. There's the CEO for Africa. So that is the latest appointment. There's also a gold audit that has been carried out. You can go and see the report. I'm going to put it on Gambakwe, which says how much gold is in Zimbabwe in the vaults. So that is Wellington Makamure has been appointed as the CEO of Liquid Intelligence Technologies for the rest of Africa, together with Loretta Songola. You can go check out this advert. I'll put it there. And then BTO has audited the gold in Zimbabwe, and they say there's $200 million worth of gold. So BTO, I think Kudara, they used to be called Kudenga and Company. You can go check out this company. And then, obviously, in news, we have 3 women appeared in court in Harare. That is an H Metro newspaper. Go check out this story here. They killed a man over a phone. So you can see Kuti, they killed a man over a phone. Then I want to wrap up with our community announcements. So we had a promotion on 2-for-1 from VER. That promotion is came to an end everywhere. And I'm pleased to say that over 200 of you guys bought a pack. So I'm talking of 200 times 2, which is 400 packs were sold by our suppliers. However, I want to explain the manufacturing process of Mve and why you shouldn't buy Mve from the street. So Mve is taken from the tree, it's washed, it's cut up, it's dried, then it's made in a powder. That manufacturing process requires handling. So the reason why I'm saying you must buy from a factory which is accredited is because how do they wash? What kind of water are they washing with? How do they cut? How do they dry? You don't want your veer to be hung on the road and flies just moving around, or to be washed with that water, or not to be washed at all. And you must be very careful because there's cholera in Zimbabwe and many bacteria. Water is dirty. So you must make sure that when you buy mve, you buy it from an accredited factory. We have examined the factory that is manufacturing mve, and they use clean water, filtered water. They use a dryer. They don't hang your mve on the street or on the sun. And they don't just leave it lying there. So be very careful when you're buying mve. Do not buy from just anybody. Buy from an accredited supplier. Also, when they crush and pack, what packages are they using, and so forth. So only that number that I'm giving you. If you're in the UK, there is also documentation that is required. You will see that at the back of your pack, there's a document that describes what is in the pack, and there's also the Zimbabwe sticker at the front. Zimbabwe helps, but obviously we only put it there so that you know that it's me who supplied you, and we are not the manufacturer. I am showing you that I have checked that you are not eating something from the street. So don't eat stuff from the street. If something was to go wrong, you won't know what went wrong and what you ate. So make sure you don't buy mve from the street. We've got enough supply from Harare. You can go and buy in Harare, South Africa, UK, USA. There's no country that will not supply it. So please just be careful. Do not buy on the street because the manufacturing process is very important. And it can't be hung on the sun because then your flies are over there, and that makes there's a multiple possibilities of how you can get sick with that mve. But I think we should go to the comments very quickly. Let's see what the comments is saying here. Gamako, I appreciate you, but liked it better when you took a neutral position. I am neutral, I'm very neutral about this. And then let's see. Mkoma boys. I missed to talk to you this weekend. I'll see you very soon. And the mini conference did smell something. Yes. Mkoma Apes Dube, you were so right. You are so right. Mnangagwa's press conference was forced. He was given that statement to read. But do not underestimate Mnangagwa. Do not think Mnangagwa is going to go down without a fight. If you think Mnangagwa will just lie down and go, you are mistaken. Mnangagwa is going to rise, and before he goes, he's going to go down with other people. That is the kind of person that Mnangagwa is. Mnangagwa does not want to be defeated. He will never be defeated. And Mnangagwa's infrastructure is wide. Some of the people that work for Mnangagwa, you don't know them. Some of them, you don't know the work from Mnangagwa. Like you are sitting there and you're sitting with someone who works with Mnangagwa and you don't know it. Some of the methods that Mnangagwa can deploy, they are so dangerous. I always tell guys that when I was in Zambia, a member of the intelligence came and I was talking to the guy and I was wearing a long sleeve shirt. He touched me on my hand like this. Like, I don't know why I even allowed him to touch my hand, but he just touched me on my hand. When I went back to my hotel, the spot where the guy had held me was dark and it started to go black. This is how dangerous these guys are. They've got an arsenal that you'll never understand. And do not play with these guys. You must take them out once and for all. If you let them breathe, they will take you out. That is Mnangagwa. It's not a place that the guy that you mess around with and think you are playing with an amateur. The only language that Mnangagwa understands is the language of total annihilation, not this half-baked solutions that you take. Mnangagwa can do a gunfight with you. That is the kind of guy that Mnangagwa is. And I feel sorry for people that think they can gradually do something, because he's going to rise up and take you out. And that will be said if these guys are taken out. And then let's see, your headlines are BN. I don't understand more. No. Says, CIO is no one. Gambako in CIO is like one against none. I can't be a CIO. Why? What is that? Kuitam CIO. Chi chocho. CIO. Mun arukutongwa. Arikuudzwa zvokuita. Ini ndouzwa nani zvokuita. Mukoma. Ndomuka panapa ndotaura zvandoda. Mangwana ndosimuka ndoenda kuUK, ndoenda kuUnited States. Do you think I would leave that to become a CIO? Munhu anoudzwa kuti enda kuHighfield kana kuti enda unobata geza. That's nonsense. I don't do that kind of nonsensical behavior. Mnangagwa is not stepping down. That's Mkoma Lawrence. He is being forced to step down. Mnangagwa is going to step down, and the process is going to start on Friday. You're going to see it, but you're also going to see the army coming to sit down and speak. If you haven't seen that army coming down to speak, nothing has happened. And also, Chiwenga has been very quiet. You can see that Chiwenga hasn't talked. Chiwenga is going to be the next president. So at some point, Chiwenga will have to come out and give direction. And the first direction that Chiwenga has done, look at everyone on this screen. No one has a scarf. So that is your first direction. There will be no scarf in this new government of Chiwenga. But what I would want Chiwenga to do is to give an economic blueprint so that people know that the economy is going to work. If Chiwenga can fix the economy, this man will go down in history as the man that transformed Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa has failed economically, and that is where Chiwenga has an opportunity. Chiwenga has now received an overwhelming, across the board support. There is no one right now who does not believe that Chiwenga can be the next president of Zimbabwe. So he needs to use that opportunity, and he needs to start working on the new approach, and also to be inclusive. And I would expect maybe an all-stakeholder conference. So something of the nature that was proposed. I think they had an NTA which started with an all-stakeholder conference. So that is a good place to start. While the military is underwriting the process, the civilians should have an all-stakeholder conference, come up with a roadmap, and that roadmap should go all the way up to 2035. And I think that, and believe that the war veterans are also for the idea, which is an NTA. Although the military does not want an NTA, they want an outright Chiwenga presidency. And you can't win against the military. The military are going to win. These guys are going to get their way. But at least let's have something that makes a difference. We don't want to just replace Mnangagwa with Chiwenga. I don't think that is the way that we want to do it. We want an outcome that will change the economy. People have suffered enough under Mnangagwa. Right, I think I've covered everything. I've talked too much. I wanted to talk for less because obviously yesterday we did that long conversation, and my guest is not available. I think he's still sleeping. One of the generals was supposed to speak to me here today. But anyway, that's fine. We'll do it tonight. I'll be coming here on a daily basis. I've deliberately avoided bringing Jonasi here. And Jonasi will forgive me. I've deliberately avoided putting Jonasi on this topic, but we'll eventually talk to him and bring him here. You can also go and see him on his platforms. He's on TikTok. That is where he does most of his talking. But there are certain people that I don't want right now to bring. I want to bring broader opinions on this matter of the transition that we're going through and how it is going to happen. The Zimbabwe military, very strong, but at the moment operating from the shadows. I'm just waiting for them to emerge. And Friday is a deadline. There is no way that Friday you come out of Papa Fields and nothing has happened. something big would have happened by the time we get out of Papa Fields. Mnangagwa is not going to be allowed to continue with his ED 2030, and is not going to be allowed to be as strong as before. Right, I want to check out Chamisa. I don't know what's happening with Chamisa these days. Let's look at his Twitter. And he has commented about the accidents. And I want to show you his Twitter before I leave. So, talking of accidents, there has been an insurance payout to everyone who had an accident last week at Bedbridge. So this is Nelson Chamisa's Twitter here. And Chamisa says, too many accidents in Zimbabwe. I'm unsettled by the recent accident that claimed 24 lives. And then he goes on to describe everything. And Chamisa, I don't think he knows what's happening on the Bedbridge Road. So if you leave Bedbridge all the way to Masvingo, they started a construction there. And then they stopped. So they created what are called detours. And the accidents happen in all those areas because the road has been washed away. Myself and my young brother, we bought a car here in Johannesburg, and we drove it to Harare. By the time we got to Harare, and it was a 4x4, the engine bolts, it came out. Like all the engine bolts inside the car, it came out because the road is so bad. And we had to get them tied up. But that car never lasted. The road is so bad. When I'm going to Bulawayo, I just sleep on the side of the road. I've told you guys, it's very bad. Mnangagwa has destroyed the roads, especially with the tenders given to his family members. On top of that, buses continue to travel at night. And the reason why 24 women died is because they're going to buy goods in South Africa. So it's a manifestation of the problem of poverty in Zimbabwe. Our women have to go and do all sorts of things in Johannesburg and also in Cape Town. Down the road from me, here, when I drive to my office in Cape Town, there is a corner where Zimbabwean women just stand around, talking Shona, wearing tights, and you know that they're not selling any goods. So it's not just the accidents that you're seeing, it's the accident of the mind that is happening. It's going to manifest in many, many years. You're going to see Zimbabwe suffering from what is happening now. Mnangagwa needs to leave. This man has destroyed everything. And there must be no doubt who is the source of the problem. Mnangagwa is the source of the problems. And if the military is serious, they're going to make sure that Mnangagwa leaves quickly. Not issues. It's military. Military, they are decisive, they hit hard, and they hit fast, and they don't hang around. So I don't expect military to my speeches. Ndikaona vanhu vanoita maspeeches handizi kuti military rega kuti chi. So kana makutanga kuita maspeech ndakutoona kuti makurasika. I expect action, and that is what we need from our military. I think it's clear. You can't give notice after notice after notice. That is crazy. ED gave Gambako talking about him. Type again. I didn't understand what he said. So guys, today I'm very busy. I'm not available. So if you want to contact our office, you have to contact this number. That is our RAN number. I'm going to put it on our notification or automatic reply. But we're going to fulfill every order that we've taken. I think we've got a backlog of about 100 orders. So do not worry. You're going to get your order fulfilled very, very soon. So I'd like to thank all of you for watching. This is the man that started everything, Blessed Geza. And he is going to go down in history as the man that led this group of men to remove Mnangagwa. And I pray that everything goes well. Our economy is doing very, very badly. And the next 60 days are very critical. If you're able, take your family and go somewhere away from Harare or away from Zimbabwe for a little bit, live in a nice house, in a nice Airbnb, or in a nice hotel while you watch the situation unfold. By the 18th of April, everything will have happened and you'll be free to go back home. So I'd like to thank all of you for watching. We'll see you again in the evening. I'm going to be running a series where we update you every day on the developments regarding the change in Zimbabwe. There's a massive change taking place, and we're not going to sit back or sit aside while we watch these things happen. So we're going to give you an update as everything unfolds. Everyone is waiting. Everything has stopped as we watch Mnangagwa and see how long it takes for him to step down. And as we watch Chiwenga and the military and see how they do what needs to be done without bloodshed. Because the longer this goes on, the more people are going to die. There's going to be death if these guys don't move. And if they continue with this waiting game, each side is armed. There is no side here which is not armed. They're all armed. And things can go very, very badly if they don't handle this with care. Right, so I thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the evening